If you're going on vacation or moving to a tropical place, your usual curly hair routine probably won't work the same. Today I'm talking about how moving from Toronto to Costa Rica and then moving across the country within Costa Rica affected my hair. Costa Rica has so many different climates, and I got to experience pretty much all of them. First, really quick, here's what happened when I moved from Toronto to Costa Rica. I was pregnant. My husband Alex was supportive, but packing was awful. After 2 consecutive all-nighters, almost missing our flight, and crying on the plane, we arrived in Costa Rica. There was chaos at the airport. We got lost trying to find our Airbnb, but we found it. Got rained in and fell asleep for a really long time. We had no water, no food, and woke up before the stores opened, but luckily, wandered around town until we found a vendor selling coconut water. And it was amazing. Amazing. I want to cry. We lived in Coco for a month, then drove through the mountains to get to the capital city, San Jose, to buy a car. There was lots of traffic and yummy food. Unfortunately, I was allergic to the Airbnb, so we slept in the car. Did we have a rough night or what? Things almost fell through with the car deal, but the deal was finalized just in time, so we left for Puerto Viejo. I gave birth to my daughter in an Airbnb, and then we moved into our home. The house was amazing. The beach was amazing. The wildlife was amazing. Sometimes too amazing. Then we went to Aloeja, and the air smelled incredible. Then we moved to San Jose. And it still had lots of traffic and yummy food. Amazing. We visited Rio Celeste. Legend has it as the place where God washed off his paintbrush after painting the sky. It is the most beautiful color. They recommended to stay out of the water, but I didn't. Then we went to Lake Arnold to see my first volcano. It didn't erupt. Then we sold our car.
Say bye to the car.
Bye, car! Packed our bags and came back home to Canada. Now that you're all caught up, let's get into how this affected my hair. In the months leading up to my move to Costa Rica, when I was living in Toronto, it was late spring, early summer. The humidity hadn't kicked in yet. It wasn't super hot, but it was still nice and warm. This was like the ideal time for my hair. My hair was super short at this time because I had just buzzed my hair off that winter. Super short, super easy to take care of. My curls were super defined and shiny. You wouldn't be able to tell that I didn't have products in my hair. I look back on this time fondly. Like it was always a good hair day. For those of you who don't already know, I didn't use any product in my hair for 3 years. So during this time, before I went to Costa Rica, I didn't have any product in my hair. My hair had grown out from a buzz cut with nothing in it. So my hair was completely saturated in my natural oils. If you want to know more about this, you can head over here and check out that video to know why I was doing this. In my previous video on my curly hair journey, I talked a little bit more about what I was doing to my hair in Toronto, so you can also check that video out. Once I moved to Costa Rica, I was living in the driest part of the country, and I was expecting a huge difference in my hair. I was expecting it to get really dry, but I was surprised by how little it actually changed and how well my hair adapted to the dry climate. I was living by the beach at the time, and the air was super salty but dry. And I feel like salt water is amazing for curly hair. My hair was so defined and shiny, not even necessarily going in the water, but just by living by the ocean, it was amazing for my hair. And because my hair was completely saturated with my natural oils, it didn't really seem that fazed by the climate change. So I assumed that as I traveled around Costa Rica, this would hold true. And being on the Pacific coast, there were some pretty incredible sunsets that I thoroughly enjoyed. I moved from the driest part of the country to the wettest part of the country, and I was feeling like really confident. I was like, yeah, my curls are gonna stay the same because my hair is just like saturated in sebum, so like it can withstand anything. And I was right and wrong at the same time. The rainforest. It was lush, moist, wild, and green, and unprepared curly girls wandering there will have hair just like that, minus the green. The rainforest, it's kind of like constantly being wet, like all the time. It's like a thin layer of moisture on your skin and on your hair at all times. So my hair kind of looked like I had heavy product in it all the time. Kind of like in my how much product is too much product video. If you haven't seen that, you can head over there. It kind of looked like that, but more wet. Almost like you like sprayed some water on your hair, but it wouldn't evaporate. So you would think that my hair would be super frizzy with like all this wetness on it, but it wasn't. Like there wasn't any frizz. It was so weird. It just looked super wet and flat. At the time, I was filming vlogs of Costa Rica, and my family was watching it online to keep them up to date with my adventures. And my sister was watching them, and she noticed how moisturized my hair looked in the jungle. She was thinking like, wow, my hair is going to look so great when I go to Costa Rica. Like, I had no idea like the jungle would keep your hair looking that nice. So when she came to visit, she had this expectation that her hair was going to look exactly like mine. But it didn't. Her hair got really fluffy and like frizzy and like a far cry from its usual like defined curl poppiness. Like, it did not look like she expected, and she was really confused. She's like, why doesn't my hair look like Amanda's hair? And the difference is, my sister was like a regular person. She was just like using regular hair products. She wasn't like me. She wasn't like not washing her hair with products. So she had a very different experience. The moral of that story is you can't necessarily compare your hair to someone else's hair. You don't know what they're doing differently. There's like so many different factors, and like a big factor in why my hair looked so different was that I was only using water on it. I like to look at my hair at that time as like a shield. Like, it had like a very nice thick shield of sebum on my hair. So when the moisture from the rainforest sat on top of it, like, it didn't disturb it or affect it. It just kind of like sat on top of it like a shield, and all of the moisture was kind of sucked into it. So I definitely learned a lot from my experience living in the rainforest. So if I were to go back there now, my experience would be completely different. Like, if I wasn't prepared with the right products, I know it would be a frizzball. So if I could go back to Costa Rica, I would probably try to mimic what my hair was like when I had no product in it. So I'd probably get like a really light oil, like jojoba oil, which kind of like mirrors our natural sebum, and then get a gel to kind of lock it in place. I really like the Diva Curl Light Defining Gel. I feel like that would be nice and light. And I would love to know if that would stop the frizz. Like, I feel like it would, but how are we to know until we experience it? And I have an idea for you guys, which I'm going to tell you about soon. After some time in living in the rainforest, I went to the Central Valley of Costa Rica, which is a lot drier and a lot colder. So naturally, of course, my hair changed again. The climate in the Central Valley was actually pretty similar to Toronto, so I kind of like that. Like, my curls no longer looked wet. They had a little bit more volume to them. I really enjoyed the curl effects of the Central Valley. It reminded me a lot of home. It reminded me a lot of Toronto, which I really liked. If you're going to a tropical place that is humid and you want to know if your products are going to work, there's something that you can do to get an idea of what's going to happen to your hair once you go to this place. So put your products in your hair like you usually would, all the ones that you would bring on your trip, and go into a sauna and spend like at least an hour in the sauna. It doesn't have to be like sweating type of sauna, just like enough to get like a lot of moisture in the air. Or if you don't have a sauna, you can turn on your shower for a bit, get the washroom nice and steamy, and just spend at least an hour in there. You know, like, bring a movie in there, Netflix and sauna. You can like bring your friends, like have a nice party in there. And by the end of it, you will see what your hair looks like. Is it frizzy? Does it look the same? Does it look better? And based on this, you can kind of play around to see what you might want to bring with you on your trip or on your move or wherever you might be going. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be perfectly exactly like this tropical place would be, but it will give you some idea of the frizz level that your hair might be in this new tropical place. Living in Costa Rica, despite the hair consequences, was a surreal experience, and I would highly suggest visiting if you're in love with nature in its most untouched form. Let me know in the comments below, what kind of climate do your curls like best? Hot, cold, wet, dry, or somewhere in between. My curls personally like dry but cool. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.